Oi boys, welcome back to another video on the channel. We are here to chat about the NRL round 8, and before we get to that, we've got a quick recap. We'll keep it brief because we did quite terribly in round 7. These swing matches that I was a little worried for actually went in the opposite direction, and in terms of actual head-to-heads, we only got 3 from 8, which is flat out terrible. So our percentage takes a hit, and we are now under 60%, sitting at 58.93. And yeah, without further ado, let's get to the meat and potatoes and make some predictions. So we kick off the weekend of footy with a proper heater at Suncorp Stadium Thursday night. The Broncos take on the undefeated Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs. As we take a look at the ins and outs, there's not much to talk about. The Broncos will be missing Reece Walsh at fullback, so Selwyn Cobbo has been shifted to fill in there, and strike outside back Dean Mariner will be playing on the wing. On the side of Canterbury Bankstown, they will be without rookie prop Jack Todd. So regular interchange, Harry Hayes makes another appearance, donning the number 16 jersey. For the Broncos, they face a potential 3rd loss in a row, and like I was saying about Canterbury Bankstown, they are looking for their 7th straight win. The last time these two sides met was in Brisbane, and the Bulldogs actually dog-walked the Broncos all over Suncorp. Still playing the same style of footy they were playing when they beat the Broncos last time. It's tough for me to see the Broncos getting a win here. This is coming from a Broncos fan, by the way. So unfortunately, I will be siding with the enemy. I think stylistically, the Bulldogs have the quote-unquote premiership winning play style that's built off defense, effort, and fitness. They drag teams into the deep end and ultimately drown them out. On the flip side, there's a lot to play for here for the Broncos. They're looking to avoid their 3rd straight loss. They're looking to be the first team to hand the Bulldogs their 1st loss. And like I've been saying, they've got the talent to do it. It's just the ill discipline, the lack of patience. It's very un-Michael Maguire-like, the way they've been playing recently. If they play match ball, I'd be all over an upset, but the efforts from past matches is what ultimately put me in the direction of the doggies. And to cross the white line, give me Jacob Preston steamrolling a out-of-form Ben Hunt. I hope I'm wrong though. Game 2 takes us to Allianz Stadium Friday afternoon, and one of my fixtures of every season is the Anzac clash between the Chooks and the Dragons. Looking at the ins and outs, for the Roosters, they'll be without Dominic Young, who has been dropped to reserve grade in favour of Mark Nawaqanitawase, who makes way at centre for the returning Billy Smith. They will also be without Nat Butcher, so moving into the starting front row. Spencer, I'm not taking any questions, Lenu. They also welcome back Angus Crichton, which pushes Salesi Fogeti to the bench, and Egan Butcher for Taylor Losalu on the bench as well. So plenty of returns for the Chooks. On the side of St. George, Sione Finau replaces Matt Feangai on the wing, and Emre Gulas back on deck, coming off the pine, replacing Hamish Stewart, who's out due to concussion protocols. Looking at the history between the two, the Roosters go into this with the upper hand, winning their previous 2 matches against each other. But momentum-wise, looking at the form guide, it's the Dragons heading into this with back-to-back wins, whilst the Roosters are coming off a convincing loss to the Penrith Panthers. Despite where both teams are on the ladder at the moment, it's pretty much a pick-em for me, and I will be leaning on the side of the Roosters. In all the Dragons' losses this season, they've been pretty close, 1 to 12 points, so we will be going that. And to bag a meat pie will be on Mark Nawaqanitawase on the sting. Under the high ball will be a go-to in attack. And to put a cap on Friday night, we head across the ditch to Christchurch, where the Wars host the Knights. Looking at the ins and outs, for the Warriors, they get back Chance Nuku-Klokstad and Rocco Berry, so they return to their respective positions. Tane Tuapiki moves back to the wing, whilst Ed Gossie drops out of the 17, and Kurt Capewell moves infield to start in the back row, with rookie powerhouse Leka Halasima dropping to the bench. For the Knights, they get Dylan Lucas back, so he jumps straight back into left back row, while Jermaine McEwen falls out of the 17. As for our pick, it is pretty straightforward for mine. I'm going to be on the Warriors. The Knights just haven't looked good. They'll be desperate for a win coming into this, losing 4 games in a row, but the way the Warriors are going, I'm going to be backing them to get over in Christchurch. So give me the Warriors. And give me the Warriors to go big. 13 plus points to score a try will be on Chanel Harris-Tavita. So it's actually Super Friday, as kicking off at 8 PM, we have the Storm versus the Rabbitohs. Looking at the ins and outs, starting with the Storm, they will be without Jack Howarth and Tui Kamikamica. On the plus side, they do welcome back Nick Meaney, so that's a straight swap for Jack Howarth. They've kept Kane Bradley starting on the wing, and Lazarus Va'alepu will be replacing Tui Kamikamica For the Bunnies, they'll be without Lachlan Hubner, and they've shifted a few players around their starting 13. First of all, Latrell Mitchell has been moved to fullback. Bailey Bentley Hartwig jumps back onto the wing. Campbell Graham moves infield to play his preferred centre position. Ewan Aitken jumps to the back row, with Jai Arrow moving to the middle playing at lock. And as for Jai Gray, he'll be coming off the pine, donning the number 14. As for my pick, give me the Storm. Why? They're coming off one of the most embarrassing losses. And looking at the head-to-head stats and the stats at Amy Park for the Bunnies, it is not looking good. We are talking proper bogey team, with the Storm collecting 34 out of the 41 games played. And it says here, the Bunnies have never won a game at Amy Park. They are currently 0-12. And also, the Storm, they'll lose 2 games in a row, as said by Melbourne's biggest dick rider. In all seriousness though, I am on the Storm. I think there's too many changes for the Bunnies, and like I said, they'll be fired up for this one. I want to go Storm 13 plus, and to score a try, we'll spin the block with Aligator, who was pretty quiet last week. Kicking off the doubleheader for Saturday, we have the Battle of the Little Brothers in the Cowboys versus the Titans at Queensland Country Bank Stadium. Looking at the ins and outs, for the Cowboys, they welcome back John Bateman. He starts in the back row. Also, Jeremiah Nanai will be starting in the back row, as Kai O'Donnell has been moved to the bench. For the Titans, David Fifita is set to come off the pine, and winger Alofiana Khan Pereira is back on deck. As for our pick in this match, I could see it going either way, to be honest, despite the Cowboys being an overwhelming favourite. Speaking of the Cowboys, they are who I am going with in this game, purely off the week's rest, and want to go 13 plus to score a try. Bro's had a pretty quiet season in terms of try scoring. We're going to back him to turn it around. We're talking about Jeremiah Nanai. And to put a cap on Saturday's matches, we have the Premiers, the Panthers, hosting the Sea Eagles at their makeshift home ground, CommBank Stadium. Looking at the changes, starting with the Panthers, they'll be without both Luke Garner and Mitch Kenny. As for their fill-ins, Isaac Tango moves from the bench to the centres, whilst Luke Summerton gets the start in the 9 jersey, and the new man on the bench is Maverick Gaia. For Manly, they'll be without Jake Chubovic and Torfafo Sipley. So starting at hooker will be Jake Simpkin, while Jas Tavanga moves to lock. Tommy Talau is in the 14, while Corey Waddell will be the back row replacement, and their biggest boost, Tom Turbo, makes his way back, starting at fullback of course. As for our pick, I'm going to go with Penrith. After breaking the losing streak, I can see them going on a little run here. It'll be an interesting game, as Manly have struggled more than usual without Turbo. With him back in the side, it'll be interesting to see if the Panthers can actually shut him out of the game, as they've typically done in the past. So yeah, a huge test on both sides of the field. Like I said, I'm going to back Penrith with a bit of momentum heading into this. 1 to 12 points, and Nathan Cleary to cross the white line. Kicking off the Sunday session, we have a banger of a game between the Raiders and the Finns at GIO Stadium. Looking at the ins and outs for the Raiders, there's no changes. So we'll turn our attention to the Dolphins, who will be debuting Frankie Molo. Mark Nichols moves to lock, and they'll be without veteran hitman Felice Kaufusi. This low-key could be the match of the round, as both teams are coming into this match riding a ton of momentum, both on 3-game winning streaks. And in their short history, they've had absolute bangers, with all results being settled 1 to 12 points. Last 2 of them by 1 point in favour of the Canberra Raiders. So who do we pick? In a pick'em like this, with both teams on heaters, I wanna lean towards the home field advantage. Cheese, we'll say. Back the home side to slightly get across the line. 1 to 12 points. You just never know what you're going to get with the Dolphins week in, week out. With Sticky's men, you can expect a gritty grueler, as they love to drag teams into the grind. And yeah, Raiders 1 to 12, and to cross the line or spin in the block with Matty Nicholson. And the curtain closer for round 8. Once again, we have the West Tigers, this time hosting the Cronulla Sharks at Leichhardt Oval. Looking at the ins and outs, the Tigers get a huge boost with Lockie Galvin named to play at 6. That means Dewey moves back to the centres, and Brad Naden will move to the wing. Falling out of the 17 will be the young gun Luke Laulili. For the Sharks, they'll be without Toby Rudolph, so he's replaced by Tukuhau Tapuha, who will be coming off the pine. The main 13 remains unchanged. As for our pick in this match, I'm actually going to back the Tigers to come out on top. Again, we're going home field advantage, cheese. The Sharkies have only won 4 out of 10 games played here at Leichhardt. And I don't know, I just feel like the Tigers, through what's been a freaking hectic last couple of weeks, they'd want to perform in front of their home fans. And it's the Sharkies, you know, they haven't looked like world beaters yet, even with Adam Funor Blake. I actually think the battle between the middles is pretty close. You could even make a case to give a slight edge to the Tigers, but yeah, give me the Tigers in this one. Give me 1 to 12 points and to score a try. Well, let me get Brent Naden. And that about wraps up my tips and predictions for round number 8 as per. If you have any tips and predictions of your own, let us know in the comment section down below. And if you enjoyed the video, be sure to run and hit that like button. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you later.